Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. Here are tonight's top stories. No resolution in sight for clear medical imaging workers as talks fall apart. Plus, the conflict at the public school board explained will help you understand the recent cuts and why parents are angry. And how 31,000 crayons are making a world of a difference for students at a West End school. We begin tonight with a story we've been following, that strike at Clear Medical Imaging. Hopes that the 2-week-long labor dispute would end today were dashed when talks at the bargaining table broke off. Dale Molnar reports.
130 workers at the 11 Clear Medical Imaging locations have been on strike since talks broke down 2 weeks ago. Unifor and the company sat down with a conciliator today, but Unifor Local 2458 President Ken DeRocher says the company came back with a proposal they couldn't accept. The union says the company earlier agreed to 2 paid 15-minute breaks, but came back with a proposal with a minor wage increase contingent on removing the paid breaks.
We sent back that was unacceptable, and we're hoping to continue bargaining throughout the day. They did return back to the table just before noon and told us that was the best they could do at this time, and so the talks broke off.
Both sides are blaming each other for talks falling apart.
It's tough on our employees. It's tough on the community. There's a backlog already with this service. We were expecting to try to get a deal done today, hopefully to get it done, and it didn't happen.
The issues continue to include wages, benefits, and contracting out. The workers include ultrasound and x-ray technologists and clerical and administrative staff. DeRocher says the continuation of the strike means a longer wait for service by thousands of patients. But he says the union remains resolved in getting an agreement they can accept. According to DeRocher, the workers make $10 to $15 less than their hospital worker counterparts, a wage gap they wanted to close. The CEO for the company says they are disappointed they didn't achieve an agreement today. He says they came to the table with compensation increases and were prepared to work hard to achieve an agreement. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Why are so many parents upset about what's happening at the Windsor-Essex Public School Board? Well, they're making some big cuts to balance a budget with a deficit of more than $6 million. And a big hit is to the RISE program.
These children learn half the day in a special education program where it's a very small class size, no more than 11 students, to learn intensive math and language because they're about 2, most times 3, 4 years behind their actual peers in their homeroom. And so they go into these classrooms and learn math and language to their individual education plan. And so the teacher tailors the programming and the instruction to their IEPs.
But now, approximately 35 RISE positions chopped from the budget. So how will that change things? Well, it's not entirely clear because the school board says that it's restructuring the program and other special education positions still remain. But starting next school year, here's how the teachers union says it's going to play out. The RISE students might get moved from their small classrooms to homeroom. So a class of 30 might become a class of 35, with the higher need students competing for attention in a much busier space, and an overwhelmed teacher juggling a regular curriculum, plus possibly 4 or 5 other different curriculums. Families told the Board of Trustees this is a huge loss and abandonment of their children. Chairperson Gail Hatfield refuted that, but the union buckles down.
It is abandonment when you don't have the proper supports in place. So if you had an EA in every classroom where there were kids that were reintegrated, then maybe that would be, correct what Trustee Hatfield is saying. But the fact of the matter is we have EAs, or we call them student support workers now. They're not sitting next to the student that needs them for the whole day because we don't have the funding for it and we don't have the staffing for it.
And these aren't the only cuts. In total, more than 60 jobs are gone, most from RISE, but also 2 social workers cut and 5 workers in the area of psychology and speech language pathology. They cut from positions not funded by the province. It means families waiting for those supports will have to wait even longer because there are already wait lists. International baccalaureate programs are also being cut. That means many students in those enriched learning streams are going to have to say goodbye to their current schools and move to a school closer to home. So where do we go from here? Well, the school board says that it's going to have consultations about how to move forward with these changes, though the union and parents say those consultations should have happened before the cuts were made. And that leaves parents and teachers worried about what happens now. Our next story is one of color and kindness. When a local retired teacher heard some students needed basic school supplies like crayons, she went to get some. And that's when this act of generosity snowballed. Jill Molnar has the story.
Okay, so remember, it's Remembrance Day coming up, right? So we are coloring this page as a Remembrance Day tribute to our veterans.
The kindergarten kids at St. James Elementary School in the West End now have thousands of new crayons to color with. All thanks to the efforts of Rosemary Marintet, a former teacher at the school, who found out some of the kids didn't have the supplies.
We have a group of women that are doing a lot of charity, and they mentioned a school, St. James, that needed some supplies like pencils and other things. So I went to Staples and I grabbed a container of pencils, and then I asked to speak to the manager, Blanca, and I said, could you give me a discount on the pencils, and explain it was for St. James, that it was a very needy school.
But not only did the store cover the cost of the pencils, they threw in some crayons for free too. 31,000 of them.
Come on in. Oh, wow. Look at this.
So Marintet also brought crayons to Immaculate Conception School and two others. Heather Best is the principal at Immaculate Conception.
Well, actually, this is a very timely donation. Next week is World Kindness Day, so our grade 8 leaders, along with this class today, we're making kindness cards to share with the community and to share with our school community next week. So in a way, the donation was so kind for us that we get to pay it forward.
A lot of families don't have very much money. They have a hard time handling food, paying their rent, paying their bill. These are for them extras.
Kim Capaldi, the principal at St. James, says it's a great help there too.
Throughout the year, we have a lot of donations from throughout the community. It helps us. We have a lot of newcomer families that come to the area, so sometimes they're coming with not enough stuff for school.
So many crayons were donated, the schools were able to make them available to all. Kids like Odell Albalou from Immaculate Conception appreciates them.
I love these crayons and I like to color with them.
Marintet brought crayons to St. Teresa of Calcutta and St. Angela Catholic schools as well.
Boys and girls, let's do our impact cheer. 1, 2, 3.
Awesome. Thank you.
Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Chris Potter joins us now for a quick look at weather. Chris, how's it looking out there?
Well, Kat, I hope you enjoyed the day today. Lots of sunshine.
I did.
The winds were a little bit breezy, but daytime highs were still climbing above normal, basically peaking at around close to 16 degrees, making Windsor the second hot spot in all of Ontario. Temperatures right now falling, obviously, now that the sun is set. 8 right now in Kitchener, 12 in Windsor, 9 in Chatham, and not much to point out in terms of active weather. We have a low pressure area continuing to migrate further towards the east, so we're into the northerly winds right now. That's going to back off those temperatures through the overnight, but with high pressure moving in, not much to worry about active weather-wise. The only thing that will be different, it's going to be a little bit cooler tomorrow with lighter winds than today. Temperatures tonight around 4, 7 for tomorrow morning with lots of sun. Some scattered high cloud cover moves in for the afternoon, Cat, with highs near 12. Then some rainfall moves in for Sunday. Well, the details on that coming up.
Thanks, Chris. We'll talk to you later. In other news, after a steep and punishing climb after the end of pandemic lockdowns, rent prices are starting to fall. That's according to a listing agency's monthly report, which calculated a 1.2% decline in October. The CBC's Nisha Patel has the story.
Stephanie Gunn jumped at the chance to move to a new rental apartment.
Looking at prices, they'd really come down over the past couple months.
Now she's living closer to downtown Toronto, and her monthly rent is $700 cheaper.
I hate moving, but it was a really good decision. And even in paying for movers to move here, it's still a significant savings. Over a year, it's huge.
Average rent in Canada has dropped for the first time in 3 years, down 1.2% for all property types. There were steeper declines in big cities. One-bedroom rentals in Toronto and Vancouver sank about 9%. Calgary and Montreal fell more than 4%.
So we have kind of peaked out on the capacity of consumer to pay.
Experts say demand has declined as the federal government changes immigration policy, and there's more supply available.
We have actually seen across the country a very significant increase in rental construction.
But as people searching for affordable housing move to smaller cities, rents in those markets are still spiking. Last month, apartment rents in Saskatchewan jumped 17%.
We've talked to some not-for-profit housing providers across Saskatoon. They have wait lists in the hundreds because they're offering rents that are affordable and subsidized.
Tenants advocates say despite this slight moderation, prices have escalated too much, too quickly since the pandemic.
You're still going to see people scrambling. You're going to see, 3 people living in a 1-bedroom, one of them on the couch.
He says rents will need to fall much further for many to feel relief. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
Have you heard Mozart's latest tune? This will be one of the first performances in North America. I'm Peter Duck, and we invited the musicians who will be playing it at the Capitol Theatre as part of the Windsor Symphony Youth Orchestra to come here for a bit of a rehearsal, along with the music director of the youth orchestra, Jeffrey Larson.
Yeah, so it was written when Mozart was a teenager. It was written in the late 1760s, and actually Mozart was not much older than the students in our youth orchestra when he composed this music. And it was just discovered a couple months ago in September in Leipzig, and it's a piece for string trio, so 2 violins and a cello. And it's sort of 7 short, bite-sized pieces of music, and it's lovely. To our knowledge, this is the first performance by a youth ensemble in North America of this Mozart.
And that is exciting.
It's definitely exciting, probably a bit stressful considering we're the first youth ensemble to be playing this. You really want to make sure that you're doing a good job.
I know that I started at sort of not really a young age, so I started a little bit later than everyone else. So it's kind of nice to know that I'm able to be with other people and play.
The cello part isn't that hard, so they just make it simple.
It's very joyful and upbeat, so it's fun to play music that's like that.
Definitely something made by a young mind.
It's officially Lebanese Heritage Month in Canada. Lebanese Canadians in Windsor marked the occasion today with a flag raising in the midst of conflict overseas. CBC's Dulcin Chen was there.
The region's Lebanese Canadian community has reason to be proud. Since 2023, November has been federally designated their Heritage Month. Local community representatives point out that Lebanese Canadians have been a part of Windsor-Essex for generations, with a history that dates back more than 100 years. Now an estimated 20,000 people strong, the local Lebanese Canadian population has a presence across the city.
We have a big stronghold here in Windsor. Businesses and establishments, lawyers, doctors, we're big in this community. We put in effort to better this community, better the city. We're in law enforcement. We have a lot of big community in law enforcement. We have a lot of community in all different types of services and businesses in the government.
Various professions aren't the only ways Lebanese Canadians have made their mark locally. The city has also been enriched by Lebanese culture, especially when it comes to cuisine.
When I travel to different parts of Canada and I tell them from Windsor, they often say, "Oh, Windsor has such a beautiful and such a delicious list of Lebanese restaurants," and I'd have to agree with that. One of the values of Lebanese people is generosity, and that is reflected in our food.
The celebratory atmosphere had a brief interruption. Former Windsor West NDP candidate Helmi Sharif stood up at the event to protest Israel's attacks on Lebanon. Politics weren't supposed to be the focus of the event, but organizers know it's on people's minds.
I'd like to hope everybody, looks at our country and support us, and hopefully, end the war that's happening right now over there. Everybody's struggling over there already, and hopefully the war stops and we'll be back again stronger than before.
Dulcin Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Let's take a live look outside there at our beautiful city. And when we come back, we've got a story for you right out of a James Bond movie. Stay with us. Welcome back. Turning to international news now. Dutch and Israeli leaders expressed outrage today after what officials called anti-Semitic rioting overnight in Amsterdam.
Just terrible, horrific, and as I said, I'm utterly ashamed of that it happened in the Netherlands.
It followed a soccer match involving an Israeli team. Visiting Israeli fans came under attack, beaten, struck by scooters, and pelted with fireworks. How it ignited is unclear. Witnesses said it seemed planned. Video earlier showed some Israeli fans chanting profane slogans on Gaza. It all came amid anniversary commemorations of 1938's Kristallnacht attacks that targeted Jews in Nazi Germany. Israel this morning sent planes to bring the fans home. Amsterdam has banned demonstrations this weekend and granted police stop and search powers. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has appointed his campaign manager as White House Chief of Staff. Susie Wiles is the first woman to hold the job. She's a veteran Republican strategist and one of Trump's longest-serving advisors. Wiles is the daughter of sports broadcaster Pat Summerall. Some U.S. companies are already preparing for the Trump presidency. The shoe company, Steve Madden, said it's cutting in half the number of goods it produces in China. It's to avoid tariffs that Trump has promised to impose. Let's turn now to a story that sounds like something straight out of a movie. A cryptocurrency CEO kidnapped in the heart of downtown Toronto during the evening rush hour and held on $1 million ransom. The man is safe now, but as Chris Glover tells us, the incident is one that some in the industry have worried about for a long time.
During Wednesday's evening rush hour, nearby downtown Toronto's busy University and Richmond intersection, a wealthy crypto CEO was allegedly snatched and stuffed into a car.
I'm Dean Skirka, President and CEO at WonderFi. WonderFi is publicly traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange.
A source close to the investigation says the crypto boss Dean Skirka, CEO of WonderFi, was held for a $1 million ransom. Skirka attempted to make the transfer on his mobile device but was unable to, so the source says he reached out to a family member to complete the transfer electronically. After the ransom was paid, Toronto police confirm he was found quite a ways away here at Centennial Park. In Etobicoke, police say he was uninjured and the investigation into what happened continues. In a statement to CBC Toronto, Dean Skirka confirms he is safe and cooperating with police. The safety and security of all of WonderFi's employees are paramount, Skirka wrote. The company can confirm that client funds and data remain safe and were not impacted by this incident. Searching for security footage that may have captured the incident, we've canvassed every single building in this area, and we can confirm police are doing the same work, requesting footage from this condo building Wednesday evening.
People are starting to see the other side. You start to see some of the positive signals in the market.
Skirka's alleged kidnapping happened the same day WonderFi released its third quarter earnings results. The company reported a 153% increase over third quarter 2023.
I catalog as many of these as I come across, and to my awareness, this particular incident is the 171st such physical attack.
Jameson Lobb tracks worldwide kidnappings involving cryptocurrency. The chief security officer at Casa, a company that focuses on crypto security, says people atop crypto companies tend to be targeted.
Anyone who's high profile in the space, and so of course executives tend to be more public, so that puts them more on the radar for people.
The specifics around what happened to Skirka, whether and how he was specifically targeted, remains part of the ongoing police investigation. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
3 people have been charged in connection with the death of One Direction singer Liam Payne. Those charged include an alleged drug dealer and a hotel worker who's accused of supplying Payne with cocaine twice during his stay in Buenos Aires. Payne, who was 31, died after falling from the hotel balcony. Investigators say an autopsy showed the pop star had alcohol and cocaine in his system. When we come back, Chris Potter will be back with us to take a look at our weekend weather forecast. Stay with us. Chris Potter is back with us now for a look at our weather forecast. You know, Chris, I keep waiting for that November weather to really hit. Like, it's gotten a little bit chillier, but I mean, I'm not complaining because this has been amazing, but it's just
100%.
beautiful double digits day after day.
Yeah, and more of the same as we step forward through this weekend and into next week, Kat. I mean, normal daytime high, as you can see, is around 10 degrees. Normal overnight low is around 2. So we're going to average for the next 5 days above that, both in terms of daytime highs and overnight lows, such as today, peaking at close to 16 degrees. And overnight lows will be a little bit cooler tonight compared to the last few nights, but still quite manageable. We're still going to be basically close to the mid-single digits in Windsor, a little bit cooler further towards the north and east, approaching 0 towards London. Currently, temperatures are around 12 in Windsor, 8 in London, 6 in Barrie, 6 in Ottawa, just to give you a few peaks. Closer to home, temperatures vary anywhere from 8 to 12 degrees. And through the overnight, with clear skies, the winds become much lighter as well. It will once again cool off more noticeably than past couple of nights, but there's nothing to really report in terms of active weather. Why? Well, we have high pressure building in from the northwest across the upper Great Lakes. That feature will move into southern Ontario and then clear off towards the east Saturday night and into Sunday, and that will set up the potential for some wet weather on Sunday. In fact, it's pretty much a guarantee that we will see rain on Sunday, primarily during the morning in the Windsor area. So here's how it works. Clear to mostly clear through the rest of this evening, clear through the overnight. Mostly sunshine expected for tomorrow afternoon. It's mostly just high-level cloud moving in. A beautiful day with daytime highs still above normal, but cooler than today. As we get into the evening, we'll become mostly cloudy. As we get into the overnight, we're going to hold on to lots of cloud. The bulk of the rainfall moves in from lower Michigan through the morning hours. Through the afternoon, most areas will remain dry. A secondary area of rainfall moves in through the evening hours, primarily early to mid-evening, and then we clear off towards the east. So we'll dry out Saturday evening, Saturday night, and into, Sunday evening, Sunday night, and into the day on Monday. Overnight lows anywhere from 0 in London to 4 through Windsor. As we get into the afternoon tomorrow, the winds will be a little bit breezier, anywhere from 10 to 11 degrees, so not much variability temperature-wise through the region. As we get into Sunday, wetter, but a little bit warmer with a high near 15. As we get into Monday, mostly cloud cover in the morning. It should start to thin out during the afternoon. Mix of sun and cloud. Temperatures are expected to lift up towards 14. 10 for us on Tuesday. Sunshine, just a few clouds. Wednesday will be the day that we could see some rainfall, at least late in the day. At this point, it looks more favorable to move in through the overnight and into the day on Thursday. And daytime highs are still going to be around 13 for Windsor, for Wednesday in Windsor. So, Kat, I mean, like you mentioned off the top, this hasn't necessarily been a typical fall in terms of overall temperatures, overall weather conditions. We've been reasonably dry. We've been fairly warm. Let's think Halloween, we were warm. Early this week, we were warm. We had record-breaking highs Monday and Tuesday in a lot of areas. And I went golfing on Wednesday. I'm just throwing out in shorts and a T-shirt. I'm just throwing that out there.
That's amazing. Well, and tomorrow might be a good day for that, for folks who want to get their golf, golf day in before the rain hits on Sunday. Thanks so much for that, Chris.
Thank you.
And big thanks to all of you for watching. That is it for CBC Windsor News. Have a wonderful weekend.